What's up, guys? Dalton Johnson here, and with the NBA season right around the corner, it's time to talk a little Warriors, time to talk a little Steph Curry, and yeah, we're doing a little MVP talk today. But before we get into that, remember to like, comment, and of course, subscribe for more. All Steph Curry wants at this point is just a chance for that fifth ring. He has the team accolades, he has the individual accolades, but as Steph Curry continues to rewrite history, my question now is, can Steph Curry really become the oldest MVP in NBA history? So let's first give a little history lesson before we get into the realm of possibility when it comes to Steph Curry and his chase to become the oldest MVP in NBA history. So number one, who is the oldest MVP in NBA history? That would be Karl Malone in the 1998-99 season when Karl Malone was 35 years old. But you know what? That was a lockout season where the season was condensed to only 50 games. Malone played in 49 of them, which is, of course, easily the least amount of games played by an MVP in NBA history. So instead, we're going to rewrite history a little more and give another edge to Michael Jordan over Karl Malone when MJ won his last MVP, which was his last season with the Chicago Bulls. The season before Malone took home the MVP, Michael Jordan was in his age 34 season. He turned 35 that season in the 97-98 season in February. Steph Curry, well, he's 3 years older than that. He's going into his age 37 season. He'll be 38 in March. Steph Curry is going into his 17th season. Karl Malone was in his 14th when he won his MVP at 35 years old. Michael Jordan was in his 13th when he won his MVP in his age 34 season. So right there, we already see Steph Curry going against the greats in NBA history and just trying to continue to push the goalposts and extend this prime as he continues to do. So the first thing that I think about when it comes to if Steph can really do this is actually that there's some new rules in the NBA starting this season that are going to be a big benefit to Steph Curry and to the Warriors as a whole when it comes to all of that. And what I'm talking about is, remember how often Steve Kerr and even some Warriors teammates, but Kerr was vocal about it last season when it came to the follow-through of Steph Curry's shot and how often defenders would hit that follow through, how often after they would smack his wrist, especially when he was dealing with that sprained thumb. You saw the way that Dylan Brooks went after that in the playoffs. Well, now the NBA, in cohesion with the Coaches Association, they are implementing the high five rule this season where the follow through, no, off limits. You can't just go after a shooter when he's following through on his shot like that. And for Steph, that means, think about the three-point prowess that he has. That means an extra bump in three-point percentage. That means getting to the line more often. That means fewer misses from three-point range for Steph Curry, and we're already seeing the way that Steph's being rewarded for this. In just the Warriors' second preseason game, it opened up against the Portland Trailblazers with Steph Curry having a 4-point play from long distance on that follow-through. So boom, right there, you see it coming through for him. Then in the fourth preseason game for the Warriors, again against the Blazers, he was feasting from the free throw line. The first 3 points of the game were on a three-point shot from Steph Curry because of that high five rule. Steph wound up going 12 of 13 from the free throw line. How many games of this last season did Steph Curry take 13 or more free throws in a game? Once. Only once. Expect him to get more free throws overall, the way that his game continues to evolve, the way that he's stronger and he can get to the rim more often, but also that high five rule. People are so aggressive because they're so scared of Steph beyond the arc that some of those fouls are just inevitable. And then there's another rule change as well that's going to help Steph from long distance. Steph is the ultimate honest hooper. When it comes to the end of quarters, the end of halves, he's not afraid to let a heave fly, knowing that that it could hurt his overall shooting percentage, his three-point percentage. Well, that's not the case any longer. At the end of the first three quarters, any shot that's a heave, which is 36 feet or more in the final 3 seconds of a quarter, that will now go against the team's shooting percentage, no longer hurting an individual's three-point percentage. So for someone like Steph Curry, yeah, he's going to continue to let it fly. This is only going to incentivize other players to do the same thing too and not be like, oh God, hot potato, grenade. No. Shoot that shot. Steph's still going to shoot it. But another factor in the fact that Steph Curry's three-point percentage should maybe skyrocket this season as already the greatest shooter of all time. This last season was only the second time in a full season that Steph has shot under 40% from three-point range. He was a paltry, sarcasm, 39.7% from three-point range. Just those two changes are already, I think, going to easily bump Steph to over 40%. We're talking 40, 41, 42, 43, somewhere around that with the spacing that the Warriors have and those two new rules. So right away, we're already seeing a way that Steph at 37 years old can have, something on his favor to compete for that third MVP. Number two, we know that the real MVP for Steph Curry, for these older Warriors, when it comes to the core, Steph, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Al Horford, the real MVP is H-E-A-L-T-H. Say it with me, health. Those are the 6 letters every Warriors fans ought to be chanting outside of Chase Center before every single game. Steph Curry, though, we know that he is the best conditioned athlete in the entire NBA. But also, just 5.5 months ago, his season ended because of a hamstring issue. The first time he's ever dealt with a soft tissue issue like that. But also, this is Steph Curry. You understand that he's going to put the time in the weight room. He's going to put the time into recovery, getting his body right. It's such a weird, almost juxtaposition where Father Time has to creep up on him eventually, but also the way that he takes care of his body, you kind of trust that he should be available for a good amount of games. What should that amount of games look like ideally for Steph and the Warriors? Well, Steph Curry has averaged 72 games per season the last 2 years. He's played 74 and 70 games. But for the Warriors, really, it shouldn't get that far. You're looking at him ideally being more around that 60-game threshold where every player needs to play at least a minimum of 65 games to get in award recognition. So I'm looking at 2 players right here. I'm looking at when Joel Embiid won the MVP in 2023 and he played 66 games. Then I'm looking at Nikola Jokic when his first MVP season in 2021, he played 72 games. So somewhere in between there might be the exact sweet spot for Steph and the Warriors. That's where it kind of comes down to when it comes to health for me and really utilizing Steph Curry the best way, the most important games to, number one, stack up wins for the Warriors, and number two, check off another box for this MVP contention, which of course also would be winning. The Warriors can't be a number 7 seed like they were this last season if Steph Curry is going to have any chance to even make it on the ballot for MVP. Let's again look at the Embiid and Jokic seasons. Both of those players, their teams, the 76ers for Embiid and the Nuggets for Jokic, they finished as the number 3 seed in their respective conferences in those MVP seasons. Embiid 76ers that season, they won 54 games. But Jokic's Nuggets in his first MVP season, they only won 47. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to cut it for Steph, for the Warriors in this loaded Western Conference. They won 48 games last season and had to be in the play-in tournament as a number 7 seed. I'm looking at the Warriors aiming for 50 wins. I think that this is a 50-win team. Every single season that the Warriors have won 50 or more games under Steve Kerr, they have won the championship. I mean, not won. They've at least made it to the NBA Finals. That's my quick correction. But for Steph Curry and the Warriors, that means being a top 3, top 4, top 5 seed. And if they can be a top 4 seed, and if Steph is playing at MVP level as he has in the past, yeah, he's going to be in these conversations. 50 wins, though, last year was tied for the numbers 3, 4, and 5 seeds in the West. So the 50-game threshold, I think, for the Warriors for Steph Curry is huge. And then look, finally, it's just putting up MVP level stats. I mean, I remember last season at the end of the calendar year when I asked Steph what his thoughts were on the Warriors, and he looked defeated. He looked deflated. He said that they're mid right now. Like, that's not a Steph Curry type of answer. You know, he's Mr. Positivity. He brings the team up. But he was giving the team a reality check, maybe giving the front office, the franchise, a reality check. So what did they do at the trade deadline? They went out and got Jimmy Butler, and that was just an absolute jolt to Steph Curry. Steph Curry played played in 28 games after Jimmy Butler was acquired by the Warriors. The Warriors went 22-6 in those games, and here are Steph Curry's stats after the Jimmy Butler trade. We're talking about 27.3 points per game, 4.3 rebounds per game, 5.8 assists per game, and 1.3 steals per game, while shooting over 47% from the field and just under 41% from three-point range, while still shooting 92.5% at the free throw line. Those stats right there are comparable or even better than Steph Curry's first MVP season. So look, once Jimmy Butler was here, the lights were bright again for Steph Curry. He was at center stage. That's where he thrives the most. He knew that he had a chance to compete for a title. Unfortunately for him, the injury took him and the Warriors out for any of those chances. But now it's a fresh start with Steph Curry not competing in the Olympics, where he is fully ready to go. We see him in the preseason. He looks fast. He looks strong. The shot obviously is there. And now we're talking about a full season with Jimmy Butler. Should he be the favorite, the second favorite, the third favorite? No. But go against Steph Curry at your will. That's what I've learned watching him. That's what I've learned covering him. So, will Steph Curry possibly be the oldest MVP in NBA history? Sit back and enjoy the show. It's finally about to begin.